Hello, everybody. All right. All right. Well, welcome to the Mikestand, where it's Thursday, May the 4th, 2023, as we wait to see who first off, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream and see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, anything we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Hey, JR. Hail Zenith, let's begin. All right. Yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started then? So tonight then, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna spend a good portion of the time going over Indie Comics Showcase article from Chris Braley on Bleeding Fool, as well as we'll have, of course, the wrestling wrap up of the wrestling wrap up. Of the wrestling wrap up as well. So there we go. Have the wrestling wrap up as well as the This Day in Each History towards the end of the show. So with that, since we do have some people here, as always, feel free to comment and or ask questions when if anything catches your attention. So with that, why don't we go ahead and let's get started here. Let me see. Okay. So I'll pull that up. Let's see. Oh yeah, right there. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about Indie Comic here. The Indie Comic Showcase from Chris Braley here. All right, Indie Comic Showcase number 223, Voyage, Sherlock Holmes, and Draft, The Reckoning, article by Chris Braley, published yesterday. All right, so let's get started here. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comics Showcase, the weekly blog where we single boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle. And of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. It's all about getting the word out, right? Letting everybody know what's going on. That's what we do here as well on this channel where we can. Anyways, as we continue on here. On Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. Sherlock Holmes and the Wonderland Conundrum by Chuck Suffel. Chris Braley. Welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Chuck. Give me your elevator pitch, in smaller brackets, for Sherlock Holmes and the Wonderland Conundrum. Chuck Suffel. Will the world of Alice's Wonderland be too much for Sherlock Holmes' brilliant intellect to handle? When a mysterious man interrupts Holmes' experimentation with a new quote-unquote tobacco, he is thrown into a whirlwind of ludicrous characters, a London he barely recognizes, and a seemingly unsolvable case. The book is colored in black and white with color accents and is 28 pages. Hmm, interesting. Oh, there's some of the artwork right there. All right. As I said, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Uh, so, Chris, what gave you the idea to mash up these two iconic universes? Uh, Chuck. They're both CB and CS here. Um, I love both Sherlock Holmes and the Alice in Wonderland novels. Who better to pit Holmes' logic against but the most illogical characters in the literary world? Ah, that's an interesting twist there. Logic versus chaos. That sounds like a very interesting thing to interpret. It started as an 8-page pitch for an anthology, but I fell in love with the way the characters interacted. I realized it needed to be a full length comic. Self publishing was, for me, a necessity. I've been in more than a few anthologies over the years, and I wanted to show I could put a project out from concept to published successfully. Chris, cool. What age group would you say this book is suited for? Chuck, technically, this is an all ages book. It hints at some dark stuff, but it never really goes there. My ideal audience is teen through adult, fans of Holmes, Wonderland, or literally literary mashups. Yeah, but usually the thing about Alice in Wonderland, though, because it's based on a fairy tale, it does have a tendency to draw in more kids too, though. Oh, and look at it! Wow, there's an interesting color aspect. Accent. Mhm. Chris, um, how have you developed your writing style? Chuck, I love to write. I tend to work from a loose outline and just work my way through the story. Then I edit the hell out of it and go through it again. Working on a script is really one of the few times I feel completely focused and engaged. Uh, Chris, what other characters contributed to this project? Um, Chuck, Jeremiah Sheik um, did the insanely gorgeous art. He will be huge in this industry. I have no doubt about that. Erica Schultz was my production editor, and this book would not exist without her. Getting Roberta Ingranata, who I am a huge fan of, to do the cover was such a win. I could not have been happier with the results. I guess that's his interpretation of the Queen of Hearts right there. Uh, Chris, that's a sweet cover. What do you think about self publishing? Any advice? Chuck, self publishing is expensive and daunting. Enter into it if you aren't prepared to learn a lot, make mistakes, and spend money. A lot of money. Yeah, doing anything by yourself can be quite a daunting task. I really think that. Pin up by Jay Sheck, okay, or Jay Sheik. All right. Continuing on here. Let's see. Chris, are there more stories you want to tell in this mashup world? Um, Chuck, I have 3 scripts in different stages of production, one of which I just sent off to a rock star editor. So here's hoping he'll take on the project. And then Chris says, "Good luck, Chuck." And you got a link to the website for that. So, anyways, now moving on to Voyage number 1 from Zachary Marar, I believe. Voyager. Let's see what this one's about. Check out the Kickstarter here. So this is a Kickstarter campaign. Welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Zachary. What can you tell me about Voyage? Oh, Voyage. Okay, I thought it said Voyager, but I guess it's Voyage. Zachary Mara. Mara. Um, Imagine watching an alien movie of any kind. Now imagine the hero of that movie being an alien. Um, it's very rare that you ever see the main hero be an alien. They're all humans. Avatar, in parentheses, Navi people, and Enemy Mine was the closest you got. Um, Voyage is an authentic sci-fi comic following the beginning tale of Sundaron, an intergalactic space explorer. I'm bringing you 32 pages of the beginning of his story, packed with a bonus 8-page take to further excite both humans and extraterrestrials alike. So he's marketing this to aliens and the humans. Wow. Chris, what was the genesis of this story? Zachary. The idea for the character came from a dream, actually. An alien hero, quote unquote hero of sorts, representing a species that is hated throughout the universe. I decided to self publish Voyage due to my love for indie comics, not wanting it to be mainstream, and I didn't want to wait at all to make this book. When I want something done, I will do it myself or with people that have the same ambitions as me. Good way to keep it close to the chest, as it were, right? Chris, that's ambitious. What kind of comic readers is this probably best suited? I like how Chris always asks this. You know, obviously we hear Ethan talk a lot about that mainstream. You sometimes wonder what mainstream comics, who they're writing for. But Chris will actually outright ask you, that would he hear, "Hey Xena, the princess counterpart." uh, anyways, Zachary. This book mainly strikes the sci-fi fantasy community due to the theme I bring into it. Sci-fi and fantasy are massive genres with a massive fan base that are itching for a comic book that can hit the nail on the head. I believe this book is that. Purple skinned alien, right there. Yeah, purple skinned alien, a blue skinned alien. Chris, how would you describe your style? Zachary. To be honest, I still haven't quite figured out my style, and I'm still working on it. Um, People say I do, but I don't quite see that yet. My creative process starts with recognizing something that is missing in a genre, figuring out what best way I can fit an idea of my own in there to stand out amongst millions of other ideas. I've honed this skill set at the Joe Kubert School. Joe Kubert, of course, a famous artist, famous comic artist, worked over the years with guys like Stan Lee, Joe Simon, among Jack Kirby. Uh, who did you work with on this project? Zachary. Let's see. Brett Melograno, co-creator, writer. Ethan Farina, inker. Nick Capone, colorist. And Ken uh, Ciznanya, letterer. These guys are all Kubi friends of mine that I met during the Joe Kubert School. Um, They all do amazing stuff and bring a strong skill set to this comic. I accept nothing less. Oh. Chris, what's your production workflow like? And if it's not complete, how far along is the book? Zachary, the book is about 60% done at the moment. All the filler things and the backup story are done except the main story. The comic will be finished by the end of my campaign's duration. My workflow is consistent. 3 narrative pages a week, full pencils going on podcasts and scheduling them, emailing bloggers, trying to obtain backers. It's constantly nonstop busy. That's what I always like to hear. Constantly either actively working on the book or actively promoting the book. That's the way to do it, huh, guys? Anyway, as we continue on here. What can you share about your crowdfunding experiences? It's tough. To be honest, I still haven't quite grasped how to obtain backers. There's so many ways, and yet, me as an artist has to put on my all around business cap and work at it. I love self publishing, but the one thing I learned is never give up. Stay up late and work hard. Chris, any current plans beyond this book? Zachary, of course. Voyage was loved by people I have, I have, and have not met. They have demanded it to be a continuing series. I have plans for it to go as far as it can in issues. Or B variant. That's an interesting picture there. Chris, I admire your attitude. Before we conclude this interview, what else would you like to mention? Zachary, to all of you out there that really love comics, Voyage is a guaranteed grab. Independent comics have been on the rise since COVID, and it's not stopping now. Sundaran is the best indie character that came from the Joe Kubert school, and he's here to stay. And then Chris says, "Good luck, Zachary. We're rooting for you." And then you can check out the Core Draft, The Reckoning article this book is by Dennis Turner and Andy Smith. Chris Braley. Welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Dennis. Give me the pitch to Core Draft. Dennis Turner. Core Draft, The Reckoning, is Conan meets Game of Thrones plus all the magical wonder of Dungeons and Dragons that combines two great genres. Experience the world building of the phenomenal land known only as the Shattered Reach. First read the book, then play the game. Yes, the graphic novel and the gaming module go hand in hand to make this a unique and awesome. So this guy's not only publishing a book, but he's also making a game of it too. That's quite interesting. How did this book come to be? What are its origins? Dennis, Andy Smith and I were on our way to a convention, and he wanted to do something different, not superhero. So after brainstorming, it seemed natural to do a fantasy sword and sorcery book that would encapsulate both of our talents. Chris Braley, what kind of comic reader is it aimed at? Dennis, the graphic novel will appeal to all who enjoy high fantasy, world building, sword and sorcery, and intrigue like Game of Thrones. There is also an optional tie-in for the fantasy role players that will enhance the story by allowing you to game through an adventure module. Chris, how did you develop the script for Core Draft? Dennis, um, first there was the fleshing out of a detailed fantasy world, then the creation of the main characters, both familial backgrounds and history, plus the detailed visual appearances. Chris, Andy's art is explosive, and I even have his drawing dynamic comics book on my office shelf. But I'm not familiar with your work. Andy Smith been drawing comics for 31 years for Marvel, DC, Image, Valiant, CrossGen, and more. I've been writing short stories and adventures for many years. Regularly do RPGs from all walks of life, and have been since 1983. I'm guessing that probably the reason Chris may not have heard of Dennis's work too much because I think Dennis sounds like Dennis focuses more on the RPG stuff, and Chris probably doesn't focus as much on that. You know. It just may be that they just haven't crossed paths until now. Um, and again, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be great. Also, anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So as we continue on now, let's see. Let's move down a little further here. Let's see. Look at more of the artwork here. Chris, is the book complete? How far along is it? Dennis, The story is completely written, and the pencils, inks, coloring, and lettering are all in progress at various stages. You can read the first 11 pages on HTTP. The website is www.coredeath.com. So if you want to go check that out. Let's see. Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell in this realm? Dennis, this is but the first of many stories that can be told in the vast lands of the Shattered Reach. Um, However, this graphic novel is a standalone story. Hmm. So he might start out with it sounds like he might start out with a graphic novel and then maybe make it into a comic book series. Guess it will depend upon how successful it is. Any special features we should mention about Indiegogo campaign? Dennis, there are several stretch goals, parentheses 4 are already reached, with different tiers. What is unique is that there is an add-on, Mayhem in the Myrmidor Mountains, and is an exciting 1980s retro homage style D&D adventure module with a backdrop of the Shattered Reach. The world for Kordrath the Reckoning. Inside the adventure, you'll find this brand new location features new monsters, NPCs as non-player characters, for those who don't know what that term means, a unique trap, and more material for your RPG campaign. Two retro-style maps of a classically styled dungeon will blend the feel of old style D&D with today's rule set, with the story tying perfectly with the story of Kordrath the Reckoning, adding so much more flavor to both the graphic novel as well as to this adventure. Uh, the guy's got a look like that guy right there's got a tattoo of a snake on his chest there. And look at that, he's really going at the other guy, isn't he, with that sword? Sounds very cool. In parentheses, Chris was telling me back. Um, what else would you like to share with our readers before we sign off? Dennis, if you are looking for a fantastic new world with lots of world building and details, not to mention brutal barbarian action coupled with high fantasy magic and intriguing story, then Kordrath the Reckoning is for you. Thanks, Dennis. Congrats on a smash hit campaign. These are some pretty. That's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here and follow Indie Comic Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comic and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, support Indie Comics. Alrighty then. There we go with that article. Well, let's see where we're at on time here. We're just coming up right on the 30-minute mark here. Let's see now. Well, I guess I could go over to Bounding in the comments, see if there's any stories from today that we could probably just touch upon. Because I think we got, as long as it's a quick story and not like one that's, you go see. All right, let's see. Video games. Wait. Movies. Um, hmm. Yeah, I think I'll save those for next week because we'll probably have a few stories that will build up for next week. I think I'll just save those till then. Hail Zenu, I grabbed a sandwich and now back. Hail Woody. Hey JR. So yeah, we just finished with that article. Let's see. Now we're at 31 minutes. I'm gonna start talking. I'm gonna start doing the wrestling wrap up a little bit here. Um, so yeah, so WWE is continuing, of course, to prepare for this weekend's um, Backlash pay per view. Um, Brock Lesnar is scheduled to take on Cody Rhodes. Um, both women's titles will be on the line, as I know that Bianca Belair will be defending the Raw Women's Championship against Io Sky, and then Rhea Ripley will be defending the SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't remember who off the top of my head, but look into that real quick here. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Rhea Ripley will be taking on Zelina Vega. Austin Theory defends the United States Heavyweight Championship against Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman triple threat match. You also will have Damian Priest taking on Bad Bunny in a San Juan street fight. As of course, Backlash is being held in Puerto Rico this year. Seth Rollins taking on Omos, who will have MVP in his corner. And then the current tag team champions, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, team with Matt Riddle to take on members of the Bloodline, the Usos, and Solo Sikoa. So that's what's coming on for WWE this week. Um, also, going back to last night's Dynamite. Now, we do have some AEW news as in the main event saw Darby Allin and Jack Perry be able to work together long enough to basically make the initial main event, the change the main event for Double or Nothing. At the end of the month here, Double or Nothing, it will now be a fatal for the fatal four way for the AEW World Champion, in which MJF will now be taking on not just Sammy Guevara, but also Darby Allin and Jack Perry. There was a lot of work last night in terms of building some other feuds up, including the Outcast continual feud against the AEW Women's Locker Room, of course, being led by AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter with and Dr. Britt Baker, along with the returning Hikaru Shida after Saraya had got the victory over Willow. The Outcasts were looking to try to humiliate Willow, and then here comes out Shida and she ended up duping the Outcast. They didn't think she was going to be with her, but just buying time till Hayter and Baker could come in and even up the odds against the Outcast. Ricky Starks defeated Juice Robinson in a one-on-one match, continuing their feud and also heating things up. Let's see, Wardlow in a squash set up a potential match against Christian and or Luchasaurus at Double or Nothing. I'm guessing he put out an open challenge for his TNT title match. The night started off great with a great 8-man tag as Adam Cole, Bandito, AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong defeated the Jericho Appreciation Society members of Angelo Parker, Matt Menard, Daniel Garcia, and Jake Hager, continuing that feud between Cole and Jericho. And Cole went right after Jericho. They also had some promos setting up next week's cage match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. So, looked like we might have some interesting matches that could get signed for Double or Nothing in the coming weeks here. Double or Nothing happens in Vegas on Sunday, March 28th. Also, in other AEW news, later this summer in August 27th, AEW will be having its All-In event at Wembley Stadium. They've already sold 43,000 tickets pre-sale. Let's see. I'm not sure exactly how much in pounds that is, or how I know they did give the numbers, but said to be, they're saying that it's looking to be a very solid number there. It's going to be also Sean Spears in a recent interview came out and talked about the possibility of retiring soon, basically winding down his career as he, of course, he seems to be settling down with his wife, Cassie Lee, who some of you may remember as one half of the former Impact Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Inspiration, or as Peyton Royce of the Iconics in WWE's Next brand. The two of them already have, I think, a couple of children. They're looking to probably settle down and raise their family. So Sean Spears is looking to have one last run in AEW, taking on a number of the top stars. He mentioned Wardlow. He mentioned Jay White. He mentioned Adam Cole. He mentioned a few people that he'd like to take on before, FTR before he rides off in the sunset. So, let's see. We said Hikaru Shida made her return last night, of course. And in other news as well, as Impact Wrestling continues to build towards Rebellion, of course, we already know that Steve Macklin will be defending the Impact World title against PCO, Perfect Creation 1, Pierre Carl Ouellet. Deonna Purrazzo will be defending the Impact Knockouts Championship against Jordan Grace, and then Trey Miguel will be defending the X Division title against Chris Sabin. Now on tonight's Impact, of course, we'll be seeing the debut of Trinity McRae, Trinity Fatu, who many people remember as Naomi in WWE. She's going by the name Trinity in TNA here. But she sat down in an interview, talked about why she finally broke her silence as to why she decided to leave the WWE, feeling that she was, the women's division as a whole was not being respected enough, and deciding to move on. As many of you know, like last year, she and Sasha Banks, who's going by the name Mercedes Moné in Japan now, both walked out on the WWE last year after not being satisfied with the way things were going in the women's division. Let's see now. So yeah, a lot of things happening in wrestling. Of course, NWA will be having the Crockett Cup on the weekend of June 3rd and 4th. As we had already mentioned, some of the teams already in the tournament include Magnum Muscle of Dak Draper and Big John Mims, Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch, the Savages, Jack Steen and Blake Troop, and many more are looking to. And a new iteration of the Hollywood Blondes made their debut on Power this last week. This being a female version of the team. Hollywood Blondes have been a name in pro wrestling history, particularly NWA pro, going all the way back to the 70s with Dale Roberts and Jerry Brown. Back in the 70s, early 80s, you had, of course, Ted Oates and Rip Rogers in the Georgia territory, and then you had Steve Austin and Brian Pillman take on the name in WCW in the early 90s, having won the NWA and World WCW World Tag Team Championships at that time. Now you have a female team of Ray Lynn and Heather Monroe teaming up, calling themselves the Hollywood Blondes. A lot of their work has been in and around the Chicago area. Basically the Midwest independent scene, particularly Chicago. So you might want to check them out if you happen to be in that area. All right, so we're at 42 minutes now, so I think it's a good time to start winding things down a bit here. We'll now get into looking at this day in each history. History, 1993, 1998. See, that's from 2018, I believe. Yeah. And 1983. All right, so we're gonna first off. Today is Thursday, May the 4th, 2023. So we're gonna take a look back at this day in each history. History. So. All right, so first off, we head back 40 years ago today. As on this date, 40 years ago today, the baseball themed manga 9 was adapted into a movie on this date. On this date, back in 1983, Group TAC's baseball anime movie 9 premiered on Fuji TV. On this date, 40 years ago today, the baseball anime film 9 debuted on Fuji TV on this date back in 1983. So there's the first piece in each history. Also, on this day in each history, we go back 30 years ago today. As on this date, 30 years ago today, the first issue of 2099 Unlimited went on sale from the 2099 Unlimited Anthology series. The first issue of that went on sale on this date back in 1993, 30 years ago today. From Marvel Comics, it sold for $3.95, 64 pages. Including the stories are Spider-Man Nothing Ever Changes, featuring Spider-Man, written by Evan Skolnick, penciled by Chris Wozniak, Christopher Ivy did the inking. Steve Dutro did the lettering. And Marie Severin did the coloring. And then also the Hulk story, Hulk 2099, written by Gerard Jones. Art by Dwayne Turner. Lettering by Richard Starkings. And colored by Tom Smith. So on this date, 30 years ago today, first issue of the anthology series 2099 Unlimited went on sale on this date back in 1993. Now, moving ahead to 1998. On this date in 1998, which was 25 years ago today, WCW held its Monday Nitro event from the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis, Indiana. The main event of the night saw the total package Lex Luger defeat Big Sexy Kevin Nash via DQ, who had, of course, Conan and Randy Savage in his corner. This is in the midst of the NWO angle. Fit Finlay would defeat Booker T for the WCW World Television Championship. A lot of DQs on the night. Let's see. In a loser leaves the flock match, Van Hammer defeated Saturn. Public Enemy defeated Hugh Morris and the Barbarian in a tag team street fight. The night opened up with Chris Jericho. Well, okay, no, it didn't open up, but Chris Jericho defeated Boris Malenko, who was portrayed by Johnny Boone. Let's see. Kidman wrestled Scott Putski to a no contest in 2 minutes. Scott Norton defeated Chavo Guerrero Jr. to start off the show about 2 minutes 26 seconds. So a lot of these matches went kind of short. But anyways, that happened on this date 25 years ago. The WCW held its Monday Nitro event from the Market Square Arena. This was still a little under 2 weeks before, I believe it was a Slamboree pay-per-view that month. So it's all going towards that. So with that, and finally, after all that, last but not least, 5 years ago today, on this date 5 years ago today, the Arid Animations Kong King of the Apes would conclude its run on Netflix on this date 5 years ago today. So on this date 5 years ago today, Arid Animations Kong King of the Apes would conclude its run on Netflix. The animated. This is, as I think, a spin-off of Kong the Animated Series. So there we go. So there we go with all that. So I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show and got a lot out of it. And of course, don't forget, tomorrow night, my co-host will be R.J. Carter from Critical Blast, as we will be looking back to October of 1939. As we'll be going over comic books that went on sale from both Dell Comics and Harvey Comics, or the companies that would eventually become Harvey Comics. We'll be talking a little bit about the 5th issue of Dell's large feature comic series, the first series, Tarzan of the Apes. Then what we'll be reading from Brookwood Publications Speed Comics, Volume 1, Number 3, and Worth Carnahan's Champion Comics, Volume 1, Issue Number 2. Now, apparently Champion Comics did not have an issue 1, or the issue 1 was apparently an ash can. But we'll be looking at those Worth Carnahan and Brookwood are both companies, smaller companies that were eventually absorbed by Harvey in 1941. Their books would continue with Harvey later, but we're going to be, reading such features as Ted Parrish, Tex Tyler, be introducing you to the Champ, among other things. And with that, I hope everybody had a good time tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.